Today we're going to be reading Humphrey's Creepy Crawly Camping Adventure. Right here, hanging out with us. Creepy Crawly classroom. What is the opposite of slow? Miss Brisbane asked one of our classmates one Friday afternoon. Mrs. Brisbane is a teacher in room 26. I am the classroom hamster. I was thinking about the answer when Raise Your Hand, Heidi Hopper cried out, "Fast!" That is correct, Heidi, Mrs. Brisbane said, but you forgot to raise your hand again. Heidi said she was sorry, and Miss Brisbane continued. What is the opposite of happy? She asked. A lot of hands went up. My paw went up too, but I guess Miss Brisbane didn't notice. She called on AJ. Sad, he shouted. Correct, Mrs. Brisbane said, but please lower your voice, AJ. Now, what's the opposite of silly? Eek! A voice cried out. It was Gail. She was almost always giggling. That's why I call her Stop Giggling Gail. But she wasn't giggling now. In fact, she looked scared. What's the matter, Gail? Mrs. Brisbane asked. Gail jumped out of her chair and pointed at her table. There's a spider, she said. A creepy crawly spider. Ew, Mandy said. Og, the classroom frog, splashed around in his water. Boing, boing, he said. That's the way green frogs like him talk. Og likes spiders, Richie said. It was true. Og likes bugs a lot. Them for dinner. Ew! Mrs. Brisbane walked over to Gail's desk. It's just a tiny little spider, she said. It won't hurt you. I scrambled up to the tippy top of my cage to get a better look. The spider must have been tiny because I couldn't see it at all. Mrs. Brisbane put a piece of paper under the spider and carried it across the room. Then she opened the window and gently let the spider crawl outside. Girls are scaredy cats, I heard AJ whisper loudly. They're afraid of everything, his friend Garth agreed. I don't think girls are scaredy cats. Or like cats at all. I also don't think I'd be afraid of a tiny spider. Mrs. Brisbane closed the window. Boys and girls, most spiders won't hurt you. In fact, they can be helpful, she explained. I tried to picture a helpful spider. With 8 legs, a spider could be a lot of help when it came to washing dishes and doing other chores. Mrs. Brisbane said they help get rid of pests, and they're very shy. But they're creepy, Gail whispered. Then Mrs. Brisbane asked, back to my question, what's the opposite of silly, Gail? Serious, Gail answered. Here's Humphrey thinking about all the different ways spiders can be helpful. Sweeping, making food. Oh, this one's sweeping. This one's doing the dishes. You know what? For once, she looked very serious. At the end of the school day, Mrs. Brisbane told the class that Heidi would be taking me home for the weekend. I'm lucky. As a classroom hamster, I get to go home with a different student each week. Og the frog stays in the classroom by himself. He doesn't need to be fed every day like I do. Bye, Og, I squeaked to my friend as Heidi carefully picked up the cage. See you Monday. Boing, boing. He replied. I think Og wished he could come too. So did I. There's Heidi. And then if you look closer, there's Humphrey waving. And then Og is waving too. That's the end of chapter 1. I guess we'll see what happens when Heidi takes Humphrey home.